welcome to the show. I am your host, Tracy Timm, and you are watching The Nth Degree TV, the place to be to take your career from stuck to unstoppable. I'm so excited to have you here today because we are doing another testimonial from one of our most recent success stories from our proven career clarity breakthrough program, the Nth Degree Academy. So I would love to welcome Shauna to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Tracy. Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm really excited to talk about my experience with you today.
I love this. Well, you are a joy and pleasure, and I always love seeing your happy, smiling face and your gorgeous braids. You look amazing. But we're just going to jump right into this. So, we were about 5 weeks ago or so. This was not the same version of you that we're seeing today. So what exactly was going on in your life before we started working together?
I was at a point where I felt like professionally I was stuck in the mud, and I was asking advice from everybody and anybody. I mean, like the person at the grocery store, I would be like, should I go back to school?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? So I was really torn between going back to school or just trying to find a different profession kind of on my own. And I wasn't getting anywhere. I was really just kind of running in place.
Mm-hmm. So if you had to say, so you felt stuck. If you had to say what problem you were trying to solve when you found me and you learned about our program, how would you describe or categorize that problem? What felt like it was in the way, keeping you stuck?
The uncertainty of not having a clear direction and not being sure if I needed to go back to university or not, and whether I needed to invest more money financially to get on a clear path or give myself some direction. I was feeling really lost.
Tell me more about the emotions that you were going through, because I remember in that call together, that was a powerful clarity call you and I had, and we got through a lot of things really quickly. But how is this impacting your day-to-day life, your emotions, your health, your well-being? How are you doing emotionally?
Doing emotionally now or before
before we started working together? Yeah.
Before, I would say I was emotionally exhausted. I was beginning to feel, I remember that call. That was a good call. And I remember telling you that I felt forgotten in my own life. I felt unseen. I felt like I was walking in the dark without a flashlight. I was not happy in my current role, and I was outgrowing that role really quickly. But I didn't have any idea of how I would get out of it and how I would move on, or if I even could. So, yeah, I would say I was exhausted.
Yeah, I remember that, and it was really powerful because I could see this version of you, 5 weeks later, knowing, what we do, but obviously it was still unknown to you. So when you were out there looking for solutions or trying to figure out how you were going to do this, how you were going to make this transformation and get more clarity, where did you start looking, and how did you come to find us in the Nth Degree?
So the places that I started looking were things like information sessions at universities, and talking to friends and talking to colleagues, and really not moving the peg. Like I wasn't moving further along. I have a lot of great people in my life who were great soundboards for me, but there was nobody that could actually help move it along. So all of my research was investigating schools. That was a big part of it. And then, of course, I remembered that I had met someone in Montana and followed them on Instagram and then saw a post about you. And that was a year before I called you. So I kind of sat on that information for about a year. And then I just felt ready one day, probably after leaving an information session at university. Just no more answers. Yeah, so that's how I got here.
Yeah.
That's how I found you.
What's funny is that actually the day after you and I did your graduation call, the girl who, you knew who posted about me on Instagram, she texted me out of the blue and was like, I miss you. What are you up to? And I was like, I have this amazing story to tell you. And she's, as you know, she's done really wonderful things out there in the world. But I was so grateful to be able to tell her about you and your success. So it was just a fun full circle thing. So when we got to talking and you did your clarity call with me, what really made this program that we do stand out from all the other things you had been searching or researching that really drew you in and got you excited about working together?
It was something that I read online, and I can't remember if I saw it on your website or somewhere else, and I'm going to paraphrase here, and I'm going to butcher it, but it was something along the lines of wanting to help people align their values with a position or and finding success that way. Yeah. And that was even possible. That really, really connected with me. And I think that's when I knew that I was going to call you, because it was just it gave me so much hope. I was like, is it possible for me to find a job that values me as much as I would value that role?
Yeah.
And that really kind of elevated it for me.
It's so true. Yeah. You were in such a place where I think because you were so tired, there was also this sense of general hopelessness. Is it really out there? Is it possible? And is it possible for me? And I hear that question all the time on clarity calls. And I think something that holds people back from investing and saying yes and giving it a chance is the fear that it won't work, or the fear that it doesn't exist for them. So what would you say really, I don't like the phrase sold you on it, but what would you say really helped you have the conviction to make this commitment of your time, of your money, and investment in yourself?
I'd have to credit my own bravery with that one.
Yes! I love that.
I was like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to try this. And so I just took a leap. I took a leap of faith.
You did. You absolutely
risk taking.
Yeah. I was so impressed with you because I remember our conversation and I remember thinking, me and Priscilla, I know we can help this girl. I hope she believes, in herself enough and in us. And so I remember you saying yes, and, it was to me via text, and I was sitting on the couch celebrating because it was just the idea of what we could accomplish together was really, really exciting. So I'm glad to hear you credit yourself and your bravery, because I think there are probably a lot of people out there going, I don't know if there's anything that I could say or Shauna could say that's going to convince me that this is the right move. But at the end of the day, you have to decide when you're ready, and you might never feel ready. And you'll have to lean on your bravery and your courage, and the hope that it's the right thing for you, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So when you first got started in the program, what were kind of the first insights that you had, maybe some surprises? What were you getting out of it really early on?
I was being pushed out of my comfort zone really early on. I was surprised at how hard it was. It was a lot more difficult than I had anticipated. Just doing that level of introspection to really get to the core of who you are and boosting your self-confidence. That was the most surprising to me, just how hard it was.
Yeah. What got you through it?
Priscilla.
We can't go on Testimonial without talking about Priscilla. She's amazing. Priscilla's our head coach.
I really connected with her. She gave us a lot of space to connect, very genuinely and very personally. And I really appreciated that about her. She spoke very openly and honestly with me. She was always very encouraging. She would go off script and just really keep pushing me. And I just really valued that. I really valued having her, look through the camera and see me and say like, hey, I see you and you can do this, right? Yeah. That's really, I really needed that. And I think she knew that. She was able to see that. So
yeah, she is a treasure, right? I thank God every day that I found that woman, because I coached the program for a long time to build the curriculum and to build a process that I believed in and could prove with people. She has taken the coaching of it just to another level. And I'm really happy to hear that was a huge and meaningful part of your experience, because I believe that that's what we need when you're doing that deep level of introspection and you feel like you're doing open heart surgery on yourself. You need that third party who's like, keep going, you got this, and gives you a new perspective. So let's talk about now. What do you think were the greatest outcomes of the program for you, and what do you feel like it added as far as value to your life and to your career?
I have a direction that I'm following. I mean, I have it. I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm still very outside of my comfort zone. Because my beginning stages are to create a network. I don't have a network, so I'm in the infancy stages of that. But there's a meaning to it now. There's like a purpose behind it. I see what it is, and I'm just kind of going for it. And so, yeah. Sorry, did I ramble a bit there?
No, this is so perfect. So if we go back to 10 minutes ago, right, when you're talking about how you were lost and exhausted and you weren't the leading lady in your own life, so to speak, right, that you feel like you've gotten left behind in a sense. Now you're on mission and on purpose. Even though none of us have clarity and certainty into everything that's going to happen in the future, I feel like you made this huge transformation in your own personal amount of clarity and confidence and certainty. And you even though it's still to be manifested or realized, right? You're just graduated, so you're in the very beginning of the search part. It's real, and there's a huge relief that comes with that, I think.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There is a ton of relief that I feel. And then it's been replaced with this new kind of added pressure. That's like healthier pressure. It's a little more exciting, nerve-wracking at times, but it's better.
Didn't you come to a conclusion about whether or not you need to go back to school?
Yeah, I did. I'm not going back to school.
We're saving that money.
I'm not. I don't think I need to go back to school.
Let me ask you, because this comes up a lot. What do you think about the program allowed you to feel like you're already ready to do your dream job? Like you don't need to go back to school or get another certification?
It just felt like what I've been looking for is staring me in the face. And when I started to look at my history and my skill set, a lot of it I already had. It was already sitting there. I've already been an executive assistant. Mm-hmm. So why do I think I need to go back to school to, study all this other stuff when it was right there in front of me?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like dusting off some of those skills and really finding value. Like just because I don't want to do what I've done doesn't mean those skills I can't still travel with them
Mm-hmm.
into a new place.
I love that. I love it. You've like totally come full circle, and I know Priscilla and I were so happy on your graduation call to just see like how certain you are and how much conviction you have. And so I just have two last questions for you. The first is a two-part question. Would you recommend the program to somebody who feels stuck and exhausted and overwhelmed and confused? And what would be the main reason why?
Yeah, of course, I would recommend the program to anybody who feels stuck, but not even just stuck, just anybody who wanted to gain any type of insight into themselves. And I don't think you even need to want to change careers. Maybe you just want to like have the confidence to move up or a lateral move. Mm-hmm. Because so much of it was just like giving your confidence a focus and kind of just sort of waking yourself up a little bit.
I love that. It is. It's so one of the very first reasons why I ever wanted to get into this work was to help people like come alive. And I always use that Howard, I think it's Thurston or Thurman, I can never remember this poor guy's name, who said, don't ask yourself what the world needs, ask yourself what makes you come alive, and go do that, because the world needs more people who are alive, and working in that, right? I'm paraphrasing that actual quote. But I just love seeing this version of you, and you're so like calm, but you're also excited, and it's just really fun to be, again, like I said, full circle. So the last question is, what would you say to somebody who's like considering this and they're watching this because they're just not sure if they're brave enough or if this is worth it or if it's actually going to work for them?
Well, I would say do it, because if you've gone this far, if you've gone so far as to start searching for something, whatever that looks like, a Google search or something, that means that you're looking for something and you're ready for it. I would say that means you're ready for it.
I love it. It's funny, since this whole, global pandemic and everything, I actually stayed with my mom for the last like 9 or so weeks. So we got real close, which we already were. But at one point, so she's listening to all my calls and she's listening to these clarity calls. She heard your clarity call because that's how fast this was, right? And she's like, you know what you should tell people? Like, why wouldn't you move forward? What if you're on the call and you've done all this research and you know that this is a need in your life, like why wouldn't you say yes and give it a go and try something new and try something that has proof, that people are getting through and having really great outcomes. And I was like, maybe you should be doing these calls, Mom.
Hi, Marianne.
Yay. Yeah, she's amazing. She's the backbone of all of this, really, at the end of the day. But I love that answer, because I believe Priscilla said exactly the same thing when she did her testimonial, almost a year ago, which was like, don't do the hard thing. Like, just do it. If you're already looking, that's your sign, and it's now's your time. So any final thoughts for anybody who might be watching this video? Anything else that you want to share about the program? How grateful I am to have you and Priscilla now be participants in my life. I think that is just invaluable, and it's going to continue to reveal how valuable it is down the road. Yeah. And just a huge thank you. I give you every bit of you're welcome and a thank you, because you did take a leap, and there is no way to know for certain if something is going to work, but it worked for you because you went full throttle into this process, and when you were confused or stuck, you asked and you got help and you kept going, and you didn't let any of that fear or doubt or questioning into the driver's seat. And it was fun to watch. It was fun to watch from my perspective. I know Priscilla loved working with you. I am so grateful for you taking the time to share your experience with, whoever ends up watching this video. And I know that, your thoughtfulness and your feedback is going to be hugely beneficial for them. So thank you. Thank you so much.
I hope so. That makes me feel really, really good. Thank you so much. Yeah, I hope so. Absolutely. I hope whoever's watching this knows how great they are and that they can do this.
Well, if you are watching this video and this is resonating with you and you're like, what the heck is this clarity call they're talking about? I want to talk to Tracy. All you need to do is go to tracytimm.com/clarity, and there you can actually book a free 50-minute call either with myself or with one of our enrollment coaches. We have a growing team, and so there's a good chance you'll get me, but there's also a good chance that you're going to get somebody who's a graduate of the program who can share their experience with you as well. So I would just encourage you, as Shauna said, and again, thank you, Shauna, so much for being here. But as she said, if this is on your mind and you're doing the research and you're already looking for resources, please deeply consider working with us, because we have an incredible track record, and you could become really the next success story, and you may be featured on one of these videos very soon. So Shauna, thank you so much for joining and for sharing your insight with everyone. And I just wish you all the best. I'm so excited to stay involved in your journey.
It's my pleasure, Tracy. Thank you so much.
All right, well, we will see you on the next episode of the Nth Degree TV.